Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another beginner's guide video. In today's video, we're talking about the best possible pan deck you can build using purely 2 copies of the Red Rage starter deck that came out with the new Zenkai block of Dragon Ball Super. This is a reboot leader that tons and tons of players have been waiting for a long time, so I'm very happy for all those players that got their new pan leader. And this card is very powerful. The leader is very similar to the old leader, but a lot of the cards they printed for the deck are really strong. So we'll talk about that in today's video. We'll also, at the end of the video, talk about ways you can improve this deck with some very good budget options. But I do have a more meta-worthy version of the deck posted on the channel from about a week or 2 ago. So I will link that down in the description for your viewing pleasure. Maybe check that out after this video if you want to see what a more upgraded build looks like. That being said, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss Dragon Ball Super video, and let's just get right on into it. Of course, starting with the leader. We have Pan. So on both sides, Pan has an auto that says when you play a battle card, that battle card gains 5,000 power, and if that power reaches 20k or more, you draw 1 card. So that's always going to trigger automatically on the first battle card you play per turn. So you always want to make sure that you're playing a battle card first of your turn with 15k or more power so you can meet that auto and draw a card. Then we awaken when it lights 4 or less, or we have 3 or more Z energy, and we draw 1 card and tap 1 energy, and then we take life until we have 6 life left, so we get flipped over. And then we have our backside, again, same auto where you play a battle card, it gains 5k power. If it hits 20k or more, you draw a card. And then another activate main, you can choose a Z battle card of yours that costs 2 or more to gains 5,000, so even more free attacking power there. And of course, when you attack, you draw a card. So there are ways you can draw 2 or 3 cards per turn with this leader. So for example, if I'm ready to awaken, but I'm not awakened yet, I can play a battle card. If it reaches 20k or more, I draw 1. I can awaken, untap 1, and draw 1. And then my now backside auto is fresh to use because this is considered a new card once you flip. So if you play another battle card that turn, you will then get this auto to boost it. And if it's 20k or more, you draw another card, and then you can attack and draw a card. So how many times did I just say draw a card? That's how many times you're going to draw that turn if you're able to do all that when you awaken. Anyways, going into the Z deck. This only comes with 1 Z card, so we have 2 copies of Goku Defender of Life. This card is just a really strong red Z card overall, but with this leader specifically, it is so crazy. It has most of the relevant keywords in the game: deflect, double strike, gains barrier, and can gain dual attack with the pan leader. It burns your opponent for a damage, and you can get this thing up to massive attacking numbers. So when played with this leader, it'll gain 5,000 power if it's the first battle card you played that turn. And it'll gain another 5,000 from this awakened activate main of giving a Z battle card plus 5,000. And there's even another card in the deck that gives it additional 5,000. So you can get this thing up to upwards of 35 to 40k power attacking twice, which is really strong. This card is like the reason you're playing Pan in general, to be honest. Now going into the contents of the structure deck, starting off with the non-negotiable super combos. You will play 4 super combos in any deck that you build, so of course include the Raditz here. The ones that draw 2 cards after bottom decking 1 are just very good in general, so typically always try to play these when you can. There are different ones for each color. Then we are playing 4 copies of the Unison that came with the deck, Sun Gohan, the Awakened. The main thing here is the auto that when you combo, you draw a card, and then he has the potential to gain double strike for the turn. So it can be a pretty good pressure applier, but really just keeping up those draws when we're comboing is really important for generating Z energy. So really cool include here with the starter deck. And then just to make sure we actually see a Unison on turn 3 when we want to, we have 2 additional copies of Gohan Kamehameha Miracle. The activate main doesn't matter, or the first one doesn't matter at least because it's meant for a different leader. But we have the +1, draw a card. Most Unisons in the game that have an ability that draws a card are generally pretty good. That's why we have 4 copies of Gohan, and then the additional 2 copies of this one. Obviously, you'd rather see this Gohan, the Awakened, but if you don't happen to see it on your turn 3, this is still a suitable replacement. Moving off to the side, we have 4 copies of another Star Deck exclusive card, SS4 Goku Senses Return. So remember what I said earlier about cards printed for Pan just being crazy powerful? This is one of those cards. Simply, if your leader's a Pan, you can play it by paying 1 and bursting 2 cards. Burst means you take the top 2 cards of your deck and you put them in the drop area. That's very helpful for his other effect that says when he attacks, you can combo with a battle card out of your drop that has 5,000 combo power. So that's going to be another way to generate Z energy. Also has another activate battle where you pay 1 energy, you can switch him back to active mode, and he gains 5,000 power. So that's going to be important for a card that we'll talk about later that will add to the deck from outside the starter deck, but it's still very good for becoming a very beefy attacker. He will become a 25k attacker via your leader, as well as his own activate battle. Very, very good card. Next up, we have 4 copies of Pan Wisher of Miracles. When you combo a card, you can play it for 1 red and draw a card. So it's like you're just playing this for 1 basically in terms of hand advantage, but you're also generating a Z energy. Then at the end of the battle, you can give something minus 10k, and with your leader, it'll boost to 20 and it'll draw a card on your leader's effect. So that is just very, very good value. Once again, all these Pan cards do very strong things for simply 1 energy. It's very good. Then we have 4 copies of Chain Attack Borgos. So here's an interaction that you need to know. So this guy's a permanent that says bond 3 with red Saiyan cards and or Bardock Screw cards. He gains 11,000 power. So he goes up to 15k via his own permanent. When you play him, you draw a card. So if you meet those bond requirements, bond meaning you have to have him and at least 2 other battle cards on the board of this specified type. If you meet that requirement, the permanent takes place immediately. So your leader will boost his power to 20k if you meet the requirements for that permanent, and then you'll be able to draw a card off your leader since he hit 20k. It's pretty important to realize because, you know, obviously it's not printed as 15k, so I want to just make that aware for anyone who is new to the game, doesn't quite get how that works. Then we have 4 copies of Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku. So it's a 3-drop, 15k critical. Critical meaning any damage you deal with this card goes to the drop area instead of your opponent's hand. And then permanent, when your life's 4 or less, this card's cost increased by 2 on the field. That is important because he becomes a 5-drop Goku, which is important for evolving. And Pan will give him the plus 5k, making him a 20k threat, but you probably won't attack with him. You'll probably evolve into the reprinted Triple Flash SS4 Son Goku. Man, it's weird to see this card non-foil. This card was so good for a long time, but it evolves for 1 red over a Goku that costs 5 or more. That's why it's important that this guy gains 2 cost on the field. When you play him, you draw 2 cards, so that's really good. And then he has a permanent that says if his power is 40k or more, his attacks cannot be countered. Your opponent can't activate counters when he attacks. So how are we going to get him to 40k power? We know that our leader boosts battle cards by 5k when they're played. But remember earlier when I was talking about that play where you can play 2 different battle cards, 1 on your unawakened side and 1 on your awakened side? Well, that's what you're going to want to do here. So let's say I'm on my unawakened side, and let's say I play a copy of Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku. My unawakened leader will give it a 5k boost, and it'll draw me a card because it'll hit 20k. Then you will awaken, which will coincidentally give you an energy back, the 1 energy you need to EX evolve into Triple Flash. Now, the power that this Goku gained carries over to the Goku that you're evolving into. That's how the game works. So this will be a 35k battle card when you do that evolve play. And now that you're on your awakened side, again, remember, you can use the new auto of your awakened leader to now give Triple Flash plus 5,000. So he will reach a total of 40,000, and your leader will draw a card. And now his attacks cannot be countered. So pretty cool combo you can do with the starter deck that you're going to want to know about. Moving on though, next up we have 4 copies of Goten Journey's Beginning. This can help search cards that you need in your deck, but he is only a 5k battle card, so you do really want to avoid using this as the first battle card of your turn because he will not reach that 20k threshold needed for your leader to draw an additional card. So just be mindful of that. Then we have 4 copies of Dependable Robot Giru. This is a blocker you can play for 0 energy if your leader is a Pan. Again, same thing as Goten. Try not to play this as the first battle card of your turn because it will eat up your auto and it will not reach 20k in order for your leader to draw a card. You probably want to end your turn with this, especially because it can be played for free. Then we have a game general staple, which is 2 copies of Hidden Power E Supreme Kai. Now this is a red battle card, but it can technically be played in any deck because you never actually want to cast this card. You just want to combo with it for the 1 energy 10k combo, because when you do that, you can choose your attacking card and give it double strike. That's going to help you go for game against a lot of opponents when you happen to see this card. It just so happens that it was included in this structure deck and not in any of the other ones, so we are playing 2 copies. But honestly, if you're buying multiple structure decks of different colors, this is a really good card to get your hands on because it is playable in literally any deck. And just in case you guys don't know the Z energy ruling, you can play Z battle cards like Defender of Light, for example, and the Z energy cost can be any color. That color does not matter. So let's say you're playing a yellow deck and you combo this to give a card double strike. Well, you can throw it to your Z energy, and even if you want to play a yellow Z battle card, you can use this card in your Z energy for that requirement. So that's really good to know. Then we have 4 copies of Speed Rush Son Gohan. So you can negate the attack with this card and play it in rest mode. During your opponent's turn, this costs 1 energy, and it is a 15k notice. So the auto will also trigger during your opponent's turn. So if I negate an attack with this card, play it in rest mode, my leader's auto will trigger because I played a battle card. This will hit 20k power, and I will draw a card. This is a pretty cool include that they have here, to be honest. So kudos to Bandai for that one. And then for our negate lineup, you'll pretty much always play negates or counterattacks in this game. The first one we have is After Image. Now, After Image technique does not actually stop or negate the incoming attack, but what it does is you choose a card, give it minus 10k in your opponent's field, and then you choose one of your red cards and give it 40,000 power. So once you do that, the power difference is going to be so great, your opponent is typically not going to combo into the rest of that damage because they're at a 50k deficit, right? They have to at least match your power to try and do damage. Comboing that much would probably take up their entire hand, so they're probably not going to do that, and this can be useful for killing small battle cards on your opponent's side of the field. And then wrapping up the main deck, we have 3 copies testing the opposition. These are what we call blocker negates, and it's a really good thing Bandai included them in these structure decks because you will play 2 to 4 copies of these cards no matter what deck you're playing because every single color has them in different forms, and they're just really, really good. So that's going to cover the main deck contents. Now let's go over some cheap ways you can upgrade this deck right now. So first thing I'm going to talk about is secret rares. If you are new to Dragon Ball Super and don't know what a secret rare is, basically it is a card with this ultimate keyword tag here, and what that ultimate keyword tag means is that you can only include 1 card with ultimates in your entire deck. They're usually very powerful, that's why they're limited like that. So the best one for new and budget players to pick up is easily Heroine's Lineage because secret rares can generally be pretty expensive, but Heroine's Lineage runs from like $20 to $40 depending on the season, and it's actually sneakily good. Your opponent will probably not expect this card because it's not very meta, but since it is a great budget card, it can sneak up on your opponent and win the game. So what Heroine's Lineage does is it can take control of one of your opponent's battle cards during a battle. So let's say my opponent attacks me with, as an example, an SS4 Goku Senses Return. They attack me with it. Maybe we're playing a mirror match. Let's say they combo a bunch of cards into this. Let's say they combo up to like 50k to try and do a big damage. If I use Heroine's Lineage to take control of it, that battle immediately ends, and now I gain control of a really strong battle card. So again, like I said, the card can be very sneakily good. You definitely absolutely want to grab it if you want to play the secret rare and are a new / budget player. This can be used in any single deck you will build in Dragon Ball Super, unless it gets banned or something, which will probably never happen. So this will be a card you can always use. And then once you get more involved in the game, you can probably go ahead and buy secret rares that are more specified to the colors that you're playing, but still a great card to grab. Then we have another like pseudo secret rare. It's not actually a secret rare, but on the ban list, it is limited to 1 copy per deck, and that's SS4 Goku, a Heartfelt Plea. This is a card you can play when, if you are awakening, you control a red battle card that has 25,000 power or more. Remember when I was talking about Senses Return, he himself can be boosted to 25k via his own effect and your leader's auto. So if you play this guy on your unawakened side and he meets that 25k threshold, as soon as you're ready to awaken, show your opponent the SS4 Heartfelt Plea. You will then sacrifice Senses Return to the drop area. You will play this card, and then you will completely resolve your awaken. And this guy has Offering and Triple Strike. Triple Strike means 3 damage. Offering says when this card's played, your opponent either lets you draw 2 cards or they send one of their life to the drop area. Very powerful card. You may be able to see why it was limited to 1 in the game because it's very strong, but a card you totally want to include in Pan. And then we have a Pan exclusive card that came out in the Zenkai set itself, one of which is Great Ape Son Goku, the Aggressor. There's also Pan United Emotions, which you totally want to get your hands on 4 copies of. I actually don't have the card physically to show you guys, but it is a very good card. Very easy to get once again. But Great Ape Goku, the Aggressor is really good because it pairs nicely with Defender of Life. It gives Defender of Life more power and some removal capability. And very simply, when you combo with it, if you don't control another copy because it has unique, you can play it, your leader will boost it, you'll draw a card. It's a very good card in this deck. Then for some more Z battle cards, we have Videl, Daughter of the World Champion. If you have an Earthling in your Z energy, this card becomes a 15k attacker and can KO anything that's 15 or less when this card attacks. And it's Pan's mom, so it's a cool pairing, and it's a very good card out of the Z deck if you are playing a lot of Earthlings, which all your Pan cards are half Earthling. Then for one of the best Z battle cards in the game, we have Rush Attack SSB Vegeta. This can be played for 2 Z energy and 2 regular energy, and when it attacks, it helps generate more Z energy, and it can even attack a second time with even bigger stats and double strike and barrier. So this card is just an absolute menace, one of the best Z battle cards in the game. And then for the best Z battle card in the game, in my opinion, we have SSB Vegeta Surmounting the Impossible. I talked about this in all of the beginner's guide videos up to this point, but you will play at least 1 copy of this in almost every single Z deck because it helps you control your life threshold, which for super combos or blocker negates is a very important thing. and it doesn't matter what color is the energy we use to play this card, like I mentioned before, and it does not have a specified cost. So even though it is a black card, we can use any energy to pay for this card, and it is pretty much being handed out at locals for free, so you should be able to get your hands on it very, very easily. But anyways, that is going to wrap up the beginner's guide for Pan, guys. Again, I will be linking a more competitive version of Pan down in the description, but if you have any comments, please don't hesitate to let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.